In January 2024, Outlook decided to look at poetry. As a news magazine, we are expected to be reasonable, to present the facts, to report what happened. And we do all these things and more. We do not exclude any truth in any medium. Editor Chinky Sinha says that poetry expands the scope of storytelling. It shows us that there is a moral power in the individual voice that must be protected. Poetry is evidence of other lives, of our times. 100 pages of poetry, a testimony. This issue was a leap of faith for a newsroom. That's why Outlook invited Amar Kanwar, filmmaker, artist, storyteller, to guest edit a special issue titled Poetry as Evidence. Kanwar offered three propositions, questions really, about the role of poetry in a fractured world. Kanwar's first proposition: imagine the simultaneous viewing of multiple time, of obvious time, hyper time, orphan time, time that unexpectedly shoots off from beneath your feet and races away. Time measured in missile strikes, in the sudden silence after a bomb, in the distance between a knock on the door and the opening of it. Robin S. Gangom knows this time when he writes, "My home is a gun, pressed against both temples, a knock on a night that has not ended, a torch lit long after the theft, a sonnet about body counts, undoubtedly raped, definitely abandoned, in a tryst with destiny." Time folds in on itself. History repeats. The present is haunted by the past. Bashir Ahmed Dada, writing from Kashmir, counts time in absence. A memory slipping away, a face disappearing from a street corner. How do you hold on to a life that's already vanished? How do you resist time's quiet erasure? This was the second proposition by Kanwar. Imagine the morning newspaper, headlines and couplets, black and white but in verse. Imagine that constellation of words. If the news reported not just facts but feelings, if the headlines told you how it felt to lose a home, to lose a country, to lose your name, Amir Aziz's poem cuts through the fog of forgetting. Sab yaad rakha jayega. Everything will be remembered. Memory is resistance. To forget is to surrender. Katyal names the quiet violence of exclusion, the weight of standing in the crowd, unseen. What if the newspaper told you about those silences? The unspoken rule of belonging and unbelonging. Shakespeare does not wait for permission to speak. His rap burns through the margins of the city. Poetry becomes a counter-narrative, a way of saying, I see you, I remember you. This was the third proposition by Kanwar. Can poetry help us understand the passage of time? And if that were possible, could we glimpse the future? Prakash Jadhav's words echo across a fractured city. Hema, tell me my religion. Who am I? What am I? You're not a Hindu or a Muslim. You are an abandoned spark of the world's lusty fires. Identity breaks apart under pressure. What survives? What remains? Begum Asma Khatoon's poem answers. Phul Banu's mother's eyes are full. Child, independence is not ours. Independence is of the rich man. Independence is of the MLA and the minister. A broken promise, a future stolen before it arrived. But T. Keritsu says, buds still swell against the tender licks of spring and bloom. Even after destruction, poetry blooms. Even after forgetting, poetry remembers. Even after silence, poetry speaks. Kanwar's propositions were questions, and poetry responds, not with answers, but evidence. Poetry names the invisible. It archives what history could erase. It survives where language ends. Chinky Sinha says that a poem is also an act of remembrance. That's why Outlook turned to poetry, not just to understand the world, but to hold it accountable. In our War and Peace issue, we turn to poetry to make sense of conflict. For poets from conflict zones like Ukraine, Palestine, poetry becomes a tool for resistance, for memory. And in our Jal Jangal Jameen issue, the magazine's opening piece was from Adivasi poet Jacinta Kerkatta. If a poem holds the truth, could it also hold justice? Could it also build a future from what's been lost? Or maybe, poetry is evidence.